The air was heavy with the scent of autumn, the leaves just beginning to turn hues of gold and crimson. It was a day like any other in Parachinar, a bustling town in Pakistan's Kurram District. But this tranquility was shattered by the deafening roar of gunfire. On November 21, 2024, terror visited Parachinar. Two convoys carrying Shia pilgrims were ambushed in a brutal attack. Gunmen emerged from the shadows, their weapons spitting fire and death. The air filled with screams, cries of the wounded, and the silence of the dead. When the smoke cleared, the true horror revealed itself. 42 innocent souls lay lifeless, their journey cut short by senseless violence. 20 more bore the physical and emotional scars of the attack. The small town of Parachinar was plunged into mourning. News of the attack spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. The Kurram District, a region of breathtaking beauty, has long been haunted by sectarian violence. The roots of this conflict run deep, entangled in religious tensions and historical grievances. Between 2007 and 2011, Kurram became a battleground with over 2,000 lives lost. The violence left an indelible scar, a reminder of the fragility of peace. The reopening of a key highway was hailed as a step towards a more peaceful future, but the attack on November 21, 2024, shattered this fragile peace. It underscored the urgent need for reconciliation and dialogue. In the aftermath of the attack, stories of survival and loss emerged, each one a poignant testament to the human cost of violence. Ajmer Hussain, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and grief, recounted the chaos and terror of that fateful day. The sudden burst of gunfire, the desperate scramble for cover, the haunting cries of the wounded images seared into his memory forever. His story, like countless others, painted a harrowing picture of the attack, a stark reminder of the indiscriminate nature of violence. Families torn apart, lives extinguished in an instant, the echoes of gunshots replacing the laughter of children. The community, reeling from the shock and grief, directed their anger and frustration at the authorities. Mahmoud Ali Jan, a respected tribal elder, voiced the sentiments of many when he condemned the government's failure to provide adequate security. His words, heavy with indignation, reflected the community's sense of betrayal and abandonment. The attack was not merely a tragedy, they argued, but a glaring failure of the state to protect its own citizens. Section 4. Empty words and broken promises, a plea for action. In the wake of the attack, Pakistani leaders were quick to offer condolences and condemn the perpetrators. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif denounced the violence as an act of sheer brutality, his words echoing the sentiments of a nation outraged by the senseless loss of life. President Asif Ali Zardari extended his sympathies to the families of the victims, promising swift action against those responsible. But for the grieving families in Parachinar, these words rang hollow, their grief compounded by a deep sense of anger and frustration. They had heard it all before, the promises of justice, the vows to bring the perpetrators to book. Yet the cycle of violence continued, claiming more innocent lives with each passing year. The community's demand was clear, concrete action, not empty rhetoric. They called for increased security, for a visible and proactive law enforcement presence, for a government that truly prioritized the safety and security of all its citizens. The attack on November 21st was a tragic reminder, a wake-up call that the time for platitudes was over. Section 5. A call for peace in a land divided. The tragic events in Parachinar serve as a stark reminder of the deep-seated sectarian divisions that continue to plague Pakistan. They highlight the urgent need for a multi-pronged approach, one that addresses not just the symptoms of violence but also its root causes. Increased security measures, while essential, are but a temporary solution. True and lasting peace can only be achieved through a process of dialogue, reconciliation, and mutual understanding. It requires addressing the underlying socio-economic disparities, promoting interfaith harmony, and fostering a culture of tolerance and respect. The international community, too, has a role to play in supporting Pakistan's efforts to combat sectarianism. This includes providing financial and technical assistance, promoting dialogue and exchange programs, and holding perpetrators of violence accountable. The attack on November 21st was a tragedy that transcended national boundaries, a stark reminder that the fight against intolerance and extremism is a global one. The road ahead is long and arduous, but the pursuit of peace is a journey worth taking. For the sake of the victims, for the sake of future generations, let us work together to build a world where such tragedies are consigned to the history books.